Alright, so in episode number 9, we are going to take care of the animation system for our weapons. So before we start, I actually cleaned up the project, as you may can tell. So all I did was create a scripts folder, or actually I created already the script folder, but I just dragged and dropped all these scripts that I've created along the way inside the scripts folder. And I also create a prefabs folder. So all I did was right click here, clicked on create in a folder, and I named it prefabs. And then inside here, just dragged and dropped the arms and the gun placeholder meshes that we have. So I suggested to do the same to stay more organized. And then I also create inside the hierarchy an empty game object like so, and I just dragged and dropped all the cubes that we have inside our scene inside this game object, and I just renamed that to enemies, so you can do this as well. And then we will take care of the animation system. So when we head over to the player itself and to the gun hold, and we just drag and drop the arms assault rifle to it, you notice that we have already an animator attached to each mesh, okay? And that's a good thing, because all we need to do is to add a controller to this animator dynamically with our code, okay? So there are many approaches how you can actually handle this, but since we instantiate each game object whenever we scroll our mouse button, this setup makes probably the most sense with the animator attached directly to the game object that we instantiate. So let's head over here to assets, right click, and then let's go here to create, and then animator controller, and let's call it rifle or anim rifle. And then let's double click on that. And the first thing we want to do when it comes to entry is to add the animation that we have equipped the weapon. So let's head over here to the low poly FPS folder, and then to meshes, arms, assault rifle. And if we open up here the prefab, you see we have all these animations here, and you can click on them, by the way, and click here on play to get a preview of them. Okay, so I guess, where's the animation? I think it's called takeout weapon. There we go. So this is the entry animation that we want to play. Okay, so let's just drag and drop that here to our animator. And the next thing we want to do once we have played this animation is to play the idle animation, okay, which is this one here. So I would just drag and drop that in as well. And now we need to create a transition, and this one, make sure that it has exit time checked, which is actually always checked by default, as far as I can remember it. And normally this should already play like the first of the takeout animation, and then head over to the idle animation and stay there. But before we actually can use that, we need to adjust our code. Okay, so let's head over to our shooting script. And then here at the top, let's make a reference. Let's create a serialized feed. And actually, we don't really need to create the serialized feed for many fields actually that we have inside our shooting script. But the reason why I'm doing that is so that you can better understand what's actually going on. So not only for many things like, I don't know, for example, let's see, like the main cam. We don't really need a serious feed for that, so you can change that to private, since we initialized that here inside the start method, right? Here we say, hey, main cam equals to camera main. So if you want, you can change this to private. This way our editor, the shooting script will look a little bit more organized in the editor, okay? So with that, we will no longer see the main cam here. But again, it's completely up to you. I prefer oftentimes to see the serialized feed, because this way I have a much better view on what's going on. And like I said, I also think it's better for you to understand what's going on. And so for the prefab, or for the anim, we will create a series feed for now, call it animator, and then I would just call it anim. And then instead of saying anim get component, we need to do something else, right? Because we don't want to grab the animator from our player. First off, we actually don't even have the animator attached to our player. But what we need to do instead, of what we want to do instead, is to grab the animator from the prefab that we have instantiated. Okay, so down here, we already say gun game mesh equals to gun mesh that we instantiate, right? So here we can actually say gun game, or actually anim equals to gun game mesh get component and then animator, because we have with our gun game mesh, or with our instantiated gun mesh, an animator already attached to it, and therefore we can grab it after we have instantiated it. And we need to repeat that, I guess, for set weapon as well. So let's just put that in here as well. And then the next thing, actually, do we need to do anything else here? I don't think so. Let's just try this out. So we have now here our anim field, and when I hit play, so over to game tab, this should now be this should now have an association, and let's minimize that. Actually, there's no animation playing because I forgot one thing, and that is that we need to attach the animator to the prefab. Okay, so inside prefabs, let's click here on arms assault, and inside here we have the controller, right? So we need to assign the anim rifle to that. Okay, and now it should finally work. All right, as you can see, we got the takeout animation, and now we have the idle animation. Pretty awesome, right? Okay, so I guess the next step from here is to add the fire animation. So let's head over again to the meshes, arms, assault rifle folder, and then inside here we have fire animation. And there are actually two animations for the fire. One is aim fire, or it's called aim fire, which means that this uses like a center point, as you may can tell. And then there is also a hip fire animation, which is the one we will use for this tutorial. As you can see, it's just a single shot, but that's not really a problem. So let's just drag and drop that fire animation to our animator. And then we want to create a new parameter, and I will use a bool for that. And let's just call this one is firing. And then we want to make a transition to that, and a transition back to our idle animation. And then make sure has exit time is this time unchecked from the transition between idle and fire. And then here under condition, we want set is firing to true. So when is firing set to true, we want to play this. And if it's not set to true, well, then we want to go back to the idle animation. Now back to our text editor here, or to Visual Studio. We need to set now the anim bool here inside our shooting script. And luckily we can do this really easily, since we already have implemented a shooting system that also has a timer. All we need to do is actually to head over to the update function, and here I can say anim set bool is firing, and instead of saying false or true or whatsoever, we can simply use is firing. Is shooting, actually. I called the bool is shooting. Okay. And so this will always set to true or false, depending if we are shooting or not. And remember down here, where do I actually change the bool? So inside our E enumerator, we say, hey, it's shooting to true. And once the timer is finished, which is basically our shooting timer, we say shooting is set to false again. And this is now coupled with our enum, okay? And this should result in a dynamic firing animation. So when I hit now play, okay, when I press now the mouse button, as you can see, it plays the shooting animation or firing animation. And let's just try to fire automatic. And this looks not good, right? Looks like we're just shooting once, but or it looks like the animation is just playing once. So that's not something we want. So what we need to do is we need to uncheck here has exit time. Okay, and this will then check, hey, if it's set to false, go immediately back to idle. And we can actually minimize this here so that we have a much smoother transition between the fire and the idle animation. And yeah, our animation is now playing dynamically. I guess we can change the fire speed maybe to 2. Okay, I will stick with 1 because I think it looks a little bit better than 2. And then let's change the transition here a little bit. And let's make also sure to change the transition from idle to fire. Like so. Okay, much better. So this is all working, which is pretty awesome, right? Let's save the scene and let's save the project. So the next thing is to take care of the reloading animation. So inside here, we have two reload animations. One is if we are reloading while our mag is not empty, and one once we are out of ammo. Okay, so we will use for now just the out of ammo animation, since we haven't implemented a system yet to reload the magazine even though we are not empty. So that's something we need to take care of later on, or in another episode, I guess. So for now, let's head over here to the animator and just drag and drop that here inside the animator, the reload out of ammo animation. And then I guess we want to use any state for that, although we could also just make a transition from these states here. And I guess we will use idle, because whenever we are out of ammo, we can no longer play the fire animation, right? And therefore we are always then in the idle mode. So I think this way it's a little bit more cleaner. So let's just make here 2 transitions, and then we need to create a new parameter. And this time we just use a trigger and call it reloading, like so. And then we want to add the condition here, reloading, and make sure to uncheck has exit time. And if we go back, we want to make sure that has exit time is checked. So this will basically just go to the reloading animation, and once it's finished, it will go back automatically to the idle animation. And now all we need to do is, since we already have created the reloading function, So whenever we reload, we simply can say here set trigger reloading. This should already work. Okay, that's a good thing when you like start implementing all the important functions in ads, animations, and things like that later on, because it's then just a matter of drag and dropping a few meshes into your project and adding just a few lines of code, as you can see, to make this finally work. Okay, so let's just shoot the gun empty, and once we reach 0, when I press now R, we should play the reloading animation, and there we go. Now if I try to press R again, you see we cannot play the reloading animation. That's because we are not empty. And the same happens if we just shoot a few rounds and try to press R, nothing happens. Okay, but whenever I'm empty, I press R, plays the animation. Alright, so that looks pretty awesome. Now let's try to switch the weapon. As you can see, whenever we switch the weapon, it plays the takeout animation, which is pretty awesome. Okay, so the last thing that I want to do before I finally wrap up here this episode is to add the sprinting function. Okay, so we have here inside our animations, fire pose, aim in, aim out, fire, inspect. Let's see, where's the running animation? I think there. Okay, so we have a running animation with this package, and again, this package is just awesome, especially if you kind of think about that. It's basically for free, right? So let's head over to the animator, and let's drag and drop that here to the animator as well, the running animation. And then I will, I guess we will use this time any state, because I want to be able to run from any state. Even if we are firing, we should be able to transform directly to run, I guess. Or should we use idle again? Maybe we use idle again. Let's just try it out this way. So let's make 2 transitions, and then I will use a bool called is running. And then again, we will make this as our statement here, or condition. We say if it's true, and if it's false, go back to idle. Okay, and make sure to uncheck has exit time on both sides. And then we need to adjust our code, because right now we cannot rerun. So I would just create a new function here. We'll say run, and then we will simply say, where is our moving function? Well, I guess we have to remove that here. Instead of adding that to your shooting script, of course, we need to go to our player move script. So down here, where we basically add our movements, let's just create another bool. And let's just call this is running, and by default we are not running, but here we can make an easy if statement. We can say, hey, if is running set to false, we want to use the player velocity multiplied by speed, and else, so if we are running, want to do something else, we then want to use the player velocity, and we want to use running speed. And of course we have to create this one here quickly. So here at the top we just copy that, call this one running speed, and this will be set to the double size 300. For now we can fix that later on if it's a little bit too fast or so. So if we are not running, hey, just use the normal speed, but if we are running, use the speed. But how do we determine if we are running? Well, inside fix update, I will now simply say if inputs get key, and then key codes shift, is running, set to true. Key down. Okay, so if we are holding it down, it's set to true, else we set it to false. And from the shooting script, we can change this here at the top, the animator to public. And then inside our player move script, we can first off get a reference to the shooting script quickly. So again, serialize fields, shooting, and then we would just call it shoot script. And then again, shoot script will be equal to simply get components shooting. Okay, and then we can then also set here shoot script and then set bool is running to is running. Okay, and this should already work. So if I go back and hit play, we should be able first off to move faster whenever we hold down shift, and at the same time the running animation should be playing. And because we have made a little bit more changes, this takes a little bit longer to compile. Okay, so when I move now and hold down shift, it seems like we're not setting the is running bool to true. So I guess I will just add here the update function and move that over there, and also the anim set bool is running. Okay, so let's just use get key, because I think down is only called once. So if we move that over to key, we'll immediately read that value. So let's try this out again. Okay, it works. Not sure why why I have these lags all the time. Couldn't figure out what the problem is. Seems like something is really not working with my graphic card, so I apologize for this issue. But yeah, I think we're moving also faster, and I can at least tell, and I think you can also tell, that the running animation is playing. Okay, so the animation is playing, and we also are moving faster when we are holding down shift. And again, you can play around with these values if you prefer another value for the running speed. But yeah, other than that, we're pretty much finished, right? Pretty awesome. We can shoot, we can reload, and we have all these animations playing now. And we also have a running animation, and we also quickly implemented a running system. And again, that's because we have done so much work. It's now just a matter of adding a few lines of code to make this, like add, for example, a running function, because it doesn't differ that much from our standard logic. Okay, so I will save everything, save the project, and I will wrap up here this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed, as always. In the next episode, we will take care of aim down function. So I don't know if like we have in some shooters the ability to hold down the right mouse button, and this will then use the aiming down side. So basically we center the weapon to the center, and then you can basically use the iron side to shoot. So we will do this in the next episode, and I think we are then pretty much finished with our project. I think that's pretty much the last thing that's really missing from our FPS project. I hope you guys enjoyed so far. As always, make sure to like it, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, other than that, thanks for watching as always, and see you maybe next time. Bye.